Hey you guys, it's Gina and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to get naturally full looking brows using some new brow products that I recently discovered that are my favorites that I've been using to get kind of that bushy brow look but still tamed at the same time. I love the look of natural looking brows. I hate when brows look overly filled in or too sharp of a line or just too much for the face. I just think it's not as flattering as like naturally full looking brows. So I'm going to show you how to get this easy brow look. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to be using two products that are from Lime Crime. The ones I'm going to be using are the Lime Crime Bushy Brow Precision Pen, and then the other one is the Lime Crime Bushy Brow Gel, and mine is in the shade Baby Brown, and then the shade of this one is also Baby Brown. So use both of these to get this look, but I will include some drugstore alternatives at the end of this video. So I originally was really intimidated by a precision pen like this. This pretty much looks like a liquid eyeliner. So looks very intimidating because it has that felt tip liner look to it, and it does have a very pointed tip, which is actually good for creating very precise lines. So I was really intimidated by this at first because I normally go for a pencil or a brow powder or a brow pomade, something that's a lot more natural, because with pencil it's usually a softer line. But hear me out and let's go ahead and get into actually how I apply it. So I'm trying to get kind of that feathered brow look, but I have somewhat sparse brows. I'm going to take the pen and I'm going to hold it at the very end of the pen, which is going to help me get a little bit lighter of a application, and it kind of allows you to kind of feather it out to where you're not holding it really close and getting a sharp line. I'm also going to hold the pencil in the direction that I want the hair to go. So I'm pretty much creating artificial hairs with the pen. So it's very precise. You can create little tiny brow hairs. So I'm going to place the pen right in the arch and start to flick it up. So I'm starting in the area where I already have hair and then extending that up a little bit. And I'm just creating really short strokes instead of pressing like a full-on line. You don't want to draw a line on your brow. You just want to very lightly dab it on your skin to where you're just putting a little bit of color down. You're not creating a harsh line and you're using just barely the tip of that. This doesn't put out too much product unless if you push too hard. You can even kind of open this and let it sit for a few minutes while you're doing the rest of your makeup before you actually use it, which would kind of help dry it up a little bit. You actually want it to be a little bit drier and not too wet in consistency. So again, I'm going to flip the pen upside down to where I can have the pen facing the way that I want the hair to actually go. So I'm just going to lightly flick it up right there and create some little hairs there. Now, if you found that you applied too much or if the line looks too harsh, but I usually just do this anyways, I will brush over top of that liner with a spoolie. This is a clean spoolie. This pretty much looks like a mascara wand. You can get these at a lot of different places, beauty supply stores or whatever. Some brush kits actually come with them. And it basically is a clean mascara wand, which helps to soften the line. So I kind of just rub that over top of the line that I just created, and it just softens it a little bit. It just makes it look less harsh, but you don't want to go overboard with this because you don't want to actually remove the product, and you want to keep it still somewhat precise and of a defined line, but not too diffused and blurred out, if that makes sense. Which that's the difference between this and like a pencil or a powder, is pencils and powders, when you soften them, they get real blurred and stuff and you pretty much fill in the entire brow. But with this, you still have those little lines in place, so it actually looks like hair, which is really different and unique. So now I'm gonna actually use the brow gel. So this is a really, really thin brush. This almost looks like a mascara wand, but it's very, very thin. And the formula of the product is a lot drier, which I really like. I don't like anything that's too wet and is gonna apply too much or it's gonna dry hard. So I've used tons of brow gels and I really like this brush the most because it really just pulls the hair up into the right formation. So I think because of the little like lines that it has in between the bristles, helps to kind of pull your brow hairs to where it creates this really nice feathered look to where you can brush it upward. So this is new. This is not a technique that I used to do at all. I used to just kind of, you know, brush my brow hairs in the same direction and kind of just make them all come into one. But lately I've been really into that kind of bushier look. So I've just been brushing them straight up, which is totally new to me. But I actually brush even the hairs down low up to where it just creates that fuller look. If you have really sparse brows, this is a great way to make them look fuller. Even if you don't wear brow makeup at all, sometimes if you just comb them upwards, they look fuller because the longer hair kind of fills in the gap areas. And so I just kind of do that all down throughout my brow. And then on the tail, I definitely do take it a little bit more tamed and not so fluffy through there. So one thing that I love about using these two products together is I still have some little tiny gaps within my brows. You can really only see it up close, but that creates more of a natural look. If your brow was totally filled in where you don't see any skin at all, it looks so harsh and not as natural. So this really helps to where you still have a little bit of skin showing throughout the hairs, which makes it look more natural and not like you're wearing a ton of makeup on your brows. So now I'm going to go on to the other side, which is a little bit tricky for me to do this because I am going obviously over my nose. If I was left-handed, it would be a lot easier. But again, you want to make sure you hold the pin in the direction that you want the hair to go. This is hard to do on camera, and usually I'm at a desk where my elbows are rested down. But I just do the same thing where I start in the arch, I just flicker it up of where I would want my arch to be, and then I start to create more of a tail and more definition down towards the end of the brow. So when it comes to the center on this side, obviously I don't need as much here, but I do want to make it match and even everything out. So I'm just going to apply a very tiny bit to this. If you find that the line gets too harsh, again, go in with that spoolie, and I kind of almost blended out too much with this spoolie and I wanted to correct the edge. So I did want to share with you how you can actually correct brow mistakes. So I'm taking this brush from Sigma, this is a concealer brush, and I'm just picking up some of my concealer. This is from Amazing Cosmetics, it's their Hydrate Concealer. Anything that matches your skin tone. I do prefer it to be a cream or a stick concealer. And you just kind of dab a little bit on the brush and you can use this to clean up the edges. And that just creates more of a sharp edge. If you over blended, this is the best way to clean it up. Or if you have a spot that is just not softening, it looks like you applied too much product, you can just go over it with a little bit of concealer. So now I'm going to go in with the brow gel, and here I'm also just going to comb the hairs upwards and make sure it matches on both sides. I don't want one side to be really bushy and the other one to be more tamed. And I just kind of try to even out the tail and make everything look nice and defined. So this is the finished look. It was actually pretty easy to do. It doesn't take me as long as it is today when I'm explaining the steps, but I can do this pretty quickly. If I don't want to wear a lot of makeup or I don't have a lot of time, I will just use the tinted brow gel, and that works amazing on its own. You can even use it to kind of fill in a little bit because it does have a color to it. So now I just have drugstore options to share with you of the brow gel. Now I don't have a drugstore alternative for the precision pen, so if you know of one, definitely tell me in the comments down below. But for the brow gel, there are several alternatives. This one is from NYX. This is the brow mascara, tinted brow mascara. Mine is in the shade Espresso, and this has a very similar brush, but it's actually a little bit fatter. This is not quite as thin, but the formula is very similar to the Lime Crime one in that it's more of a drier formula, so it's not too wet. This one doesn't like dry weird, it doesn't dry sticky or anything like that, so I do like the finish of this. I would call both of these tinted brow gels to definitely be a lighter hold. I don't find that my brows move around too much, and even if they did, I wouldn't mind because I'm going with that kind of fluffier look anyways, but they're not as extreme hold as some other ones. And then this one is the Maybelline Brow Drama Sculpting Brow Mascara, and this I really like. This is a different formula altogether though. It's a little bit more wet. If you apply too much of this, sometimes it can clump up a little bit, so you have to use a light hand with it. But this has a really interesting brush to where it's kind of like a ball at the end and then it's skinnier down at the bottom. So it really helps to grab the hairs. You can definitely get a bushy look with this, and it does a great job at filling in too. Sometimes I will just use this when I'm really in a hurry and I don't want to fuss with like filling them in and stuff. I'll just use this and I can get a pretty good brow look without having to do a whole lot. So that is it. I hope you found this informative and helpful. All of my tutorials I try to break down in really easy to follow steps so that anyone at any skill level can achieve it, and I love providing some drugstore examples for you so everything is nice and affordable. I will link all of the products that I use on the blog post that goes with this video, which will be the first link in the description box down below. If you click on that, you'll go over to my blog, and on there I list out all the products and stuff. I find the cheapest place that you can buy them. So thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post videos on Sunday about everyday beauty and some curly hair care here and there, so I would love to have you join the fam, and I hope to see you back next week. Bye everyone.